Good afternoon, everyone. Can we start?
Good afternoon, sir. Sir,
Good
are you
afternoon.
able to share the screen, sir?
I'm able to share the screen now. You tell me whether you are able to visible. You can see
No,
my
the
screen or not.
screen. No, sir, the screen is not visible. We are not able to see the screen.
Then you should give me the control, I guess, because from my side I have shared.
Sir, you are given full control, sir. You are able to present. You are a presenter now, so you can present.
Is it visible now?
No, sir. Sir, you have to share the entire screen, sir. You can share the entire screen. When you're sharing the content, on your left hand side, you will have a screen sharing that you can do, sir.
I
Yes,
got
sir.
the.
Yes, sir. Yes. Now we can see your screen.
Okay, nice.
Yes.
So, good afternoon, all the participant and the organizer, as well as the head of department and the entire department. I'd like to introduce myself first of all. My name is Dr. Avinash Sharma. I'm professor in Computer Science Department Engineering at Maharshi Markandeeshwar Engineering College, which is in Haryana, Ambala. So today I am going to discuss with you the topic which has been given to me, and that is the practical cryptography techniques, that is symmetric and asymmetric techniques. So I'd like to tell you that there is some kind of disturbance which may happen during my lecture. The reason behind that is that in our university there is a Punjabi film shooting going on for last 1 week. Okay, so because of that, there was not a perfect place to give my presentation online, and because of that, there may be some kind of disturbance. So please bear with that disturbance with me. There may be some songs playing behind my presentation. Okay. So if that happens, then please bear with me because it is not possible to help me out for that particular situation. So let us go ahead with my presentation today. And first of all, you had been going through this particular short-term training program for last 4 days. So you must have gone through the different sessions in which you have learned a lot of things. But revision is required from my side. That is, what do we call as a security? Okay. So we can say that security is very much important nowadays, especially when we are using the devices which are totally based on the Internet of Things. Okay, so nowadays we are using all the devices, okay, which are totally connected with the internet. Say that could be the our personal desktop machines or some smartphones or our tablets, or even nowadays we are using the smart variables. For example, we are using the different devices which are IoT enabled. So in that case, we can see that the entire business intelligence is moving towards the devices which are using the internet. Okay, so that is the reason the security has become one of the most important and a crucial aspect. So according to Gartner, we can say that since 2004 to 2020, we are moving towards a situation where security has become our prime concern. And the security which is there in a form where it could be either physical security as well as the logical security also. So those particular things which are in a typical form, which are relevant here, that we are going to discuss. Okay. So moving the next slide ahead, we can see that there are billions of devices which have started from 2015 into 2020. So in this case, we see that there is a global IP traffic going from the devices from 2015, 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So we have a huge market share here. So we can see that there is a mobile to mobile communication which is happening more than 30%, and it is in the range of 30% to 46%. And with the devices such as smartphones, we are making a communication, and the connections is going from 19% to 21%. There exists the non-smartphone also, but the ratio has gone down. That is, initially it was 24% and now it has gone to 9%. And similarly, if we see the devices such as the TVs, okay, so there is a no growth scenario in the TVs. That means, say in the year 2015 we are having 11%, but now we are having just 12%. So it is more or less the same. At the same time, when we talk about the personal computers, so we were having 9% as a personal computer at that time, so it has decreased. That means nowadays no one is in favor of using the personal computers. But if we talk about the tablets, okay, so the tablets are something which is a replacement to either our laptops or our personal computers. Okay, so that also there is a significant equal situation. Okay, and now when we talk about the number of exabytes, that is the number of traffic, that is the IP traffic which is happening through the devices, then it has gone from value from 0 to more than 250 exabytes per month. That means we can say that there are the personal computers, okay, which are using around 29% of the exabytes per month. Smartphones are using more than 30%. That means nowadays we are doing more type of communication, and we are using more smartphones rather than the personal computers. So everything which we are doing is normally on the personal computers, sorry, on the smartphones, not on the personal computers or the laptops. And you can see that the tablets, okay, then we can say the non-smartphones, okay. So on the non-smartphones there is no kind of uh, byte transfer which is happening, so that is the reason it is shown as 0%. Now if we talk about security, so why security is important, and what is the type of security and where it really exists in our day-to-day scenario. So we can say that if we want to protect our general assets, the general assets could be the one which we have already discussed. For example, the mobile phones, the laptops, the tablets, and all those and all sort of things. So we have to protect our general assets, okay, both in the form of hardware as well as the form of software. And we have to protect our assets either in a global environment, okay, or in an environment where they actually exist. For example, the environment of electronics and either the local environment. So these are the three places where we have to protect our devices, which is a general asset, and we have to protect these general assets in the form of hardware as well as the software. So when we talk about security, so why security is important? Okay, so security starts from the basic level, which is called the threat, and it ends to the attack. So at the initial level, there is a threat, and at the middle level, there is a vulnerability, and after that, there is an attack. So if we are able to deal with the threat, then suppose we cannot go to the level of attacks, and that is our possible way that where we can allow, where we can avoid the attacks. Okay, so when we talk about the threats, so the meaning of threat is that whenever there is a kind of disturbance in the operations, or there is a disturbance in the functionality of any particular device, or the integrity of the device has been challenged, or the availability of the system is not there, then we can say that the possible threat has opened, okay, or it has occurred. And when we talk about the vulnerability means that there could be a possible weakness in the design when we have designed our cyber system. So there could be a possible weakness in the design of a system, or there could be a possible flaw in the configuration, or there could be a possible kind of limitation where we have not done the things properly, that is the implementation has not occurred properly, there may be a challenge in the management of a system. So that is the point where vulnerability is important. So it is always very important that we always do the vulnerability assessment. And after that, the next important thing and the last thing which has the outcome of the cyber security attack, sorry, threats is the attack. So the attack could be the different type of attack. For example, there is a denial of service attack, there could be the viruses, and even there are many more type of attack which could be classified into the active and passive attacks. So moving ahead to this particular slide, I want to show that what is the triangle which represents that there is a kind of cyber system in which the computer devices, the data, the applications, okay, they are at the bottommost layer, and over that the next important thing which supersides is the network security, and after that there is the information security, then overall the security. So there is a possibility that the things could happen at the difference, and either we can detect or we can also plan to defend such kind of attacks. So this is the security hierarchy, which is very much important. So if we want to deal with any particular layer, then we have to think of that where we have to be specific in terms of making the threat assessment, making the vulnerability assessment, and possibly identifying the type of attacks. These are the different security attacks. There could be the like attacks, that is there could be some passive attacks, then there could be some mechanisms where we have to identify, then there could be the services. Now this particular word, that is a camel, okay, it has got a different meaning, okay, so which I am going to explain in the next slide. So let us talk about the attack techniques. So there are different attack techniques which the attackers are using in order to attack our system. So this particular pie chart, which is there in front of you, explains you that there could be the different type of attacking techniques. Okay. Now the most common one, first one is the SQL injection. Okay, so we normally see that SQL injections are the most possible type of attacks which is happening, and it has a share of more than 18.4% in the overall attacks which is happening. Then we see the different type of attack which is shown, say unknown, so which is not classified, you can say. Okay. Then there could be the malware attack, there could be the defacement attack, there could be type of account hijacking attack, there could be the denial of service, that is a distributed denial of service attack, then malicious iframe attack. Okay, then the next attack which I am going to talk about here is the POS malware. So POS malware stands for the point of sale attack, point of sale malware. Okay, so what is a point of sale? For example, if you are doing any kind of purchasing, or if you are doing any kind of shopping on the websites, say Amazon or Flipkart. Okay, so these are the online websites, these are the online websites. So these are the sites which is basically the point of sale. For example, in these particular websites, normally the users use their debit card or credit card numbers in order to procure or in order to purchase some items. So these are the attacks that is called as the point of sale malware attack. So any attack which is planned on some kind of websites, okay, where we are doing any kind of purchasing through the debit card and credit card, then this is called as a point of sale malware. Then there could be the attack which is called as a brute force attack. Then there could be the ATM malware attack. Then there could be the mobile malware attack. Then shell shock vulnerability attack, and then the DNS poisoning attack. Okay, that is domain name service attack. So if you remember that in my earlier presentation, that is on the first day of the short-term training program, I have shown you many types of digital forensic open source tool. So those digital forensic tools, which are the open source, could be helpful for you in order to identify that what is a possible type of attack which you can diagnose, okay, with those kind of attacking techniques. Then there is a other type of attack, okay, that is the Apache vulnerability attack, okay. Then one other attack which is called as a MITM. Okay, so we can say that the attack which is happening at the middle level, okay, or at the middle level of the transaction. For example, if two persons are communicating with each other, and the message which is sent from one person to other person, if that particular message has been either disrupted, or if anything is happening wrong with that particular message, then we can say that it is a MITM type of attack. So the another type of attack which is shown in front of you, that is, this is the email message, a typical email message, and it is normally a real way of attack which is happening when some kind of attackers, okay, try to put any kind of information, okay, in our mail. Okay, here you can see that a particular person is trying to attack the email content from the receiver to the sender. So what is happening here, the identity has been hidden. Hidden means what? That the domain name, that is uh, domain name of the particular organization, okay, that is George is having some is belonging to some organization, but that is now hidden, okay. And in the other mail ID also, that is info@, okay, that particular part is also hidden, okay. So by this way we can tamper the content of a particular mail. So here we cannot identify that what has been the domain name of the particular person from which that particular mail has been sent. So now when we talk about the cryptography characters, so normally we talk about the cryptography characters. Okay, so let us talk about the famous persons of the famous Hindi movie which we all have seen. For example, Sholay as a movie. Okay, so I'm going to take that particular example here in order to explain you that what is the role of the cryptography characters, okay, in the entire communication. So I'm going to replace the Alice, Bob, and Trudy, which is a traditional example which is available on the lots of examples on the internet. So here I am replacing the first person, that is Alice. Okay, Alice is my first character. Okay, so Alice I will call as Jay, and other character, okay, that is Bob, I will call as Viru. So Jay and Viru both are friends here. Okay, that means I have replaced Alice with Jay and Bob with Viru, and both are friends. So the J is at the secure end, which is the sender end, and he wants to send some data to his friend, that is Viru. Okay, so there is a channel. Okay, there is a data channel. Okay, through which the first person, that is Jay, wants to send the messages to Viru. Okay, so what happens that there is a particular person who is the enemy, okay, that is the attacker. So the Gabbar is the attacker, okay, and what Gabbar can do with the message, that the Gabbar can either alter or delete or intercept or add some additional content into the message which has been sent from Jay to Viru. So in the entire communication, we can see that one person
Excuse
when,
me, sir.
yeah,
Sir, in the there is a hide button, no, sir. Can you press that hide button? We are not able to
okay,
see. Yes, yes.
okay. So the entire thing over here is that the message interception can happen, okay, and that can really attack the confidentiality of the message, okay, and because of that, this process is called as the eavesdropping of the message. That is, some unauthorized access has been done to the information which has been sent from the sender to receiver. Okay, then there could be a possibility of the packet sniper, okay, and the wiretappers, okay, or there could be the possibility of illicit copying of the files and programs from the sender to receiver. The other type of the thing is that is called as a tampering with the message. So in the tampering of the message, the integrity of the message is lost. For example, if I want to send some message to one of my friend, in that case, if my message is tampered, so what will happen, that the integrity of the message is lost. So the perpetrator is the person who is responsible for making the tampering of the messages. So here the one person, that is sender and the receiver, they do not get the same message. That is, the integrity of the message is lost. So it can stop the flow of message because of integrity of attack. What can happen is that the message can be stopped. That is, the flow of the message could be stopped. Either there could be a delay in the receiving of the message. So that means the message is not received in a proper time. Then the message could be modified also. Okay, and sometimes what happens that after the modifying the message, the perpetrator again releases the message to the receiver. So this is the meaning of integrity. Then the other one is the authenticity of the attack. So in that, what can happen? That the masquerading can happen from the intruder. Okay, so the person can masquerade your message. Okay, so unauthorized assumption. Okay, or generation and distribution of the objects. Okay, this could be a possibility which can happen in the authenticity process. Authenticity attack. This is called as the authenticity attack. So attack on availability. Availability means what? That means that if you are sending the message from the sender to receiver, okay, that means suppose at some times the hardware is not available. For example, if the sender to receiver, there is a communication channel and in the fiber is cut, okay, then we can say that the hardware is destroyed. Okay, sometimes we can also make it possible that the server is crashed, then it is called as the denial of service. Okay, then in that case what will happen, that the software is not functioning. So the software is not available, and in the first case the hardware is not available. So both the type of attack are basically the attack on the availability of the hardware and software. So here we have to see the different dimensions of the security. So the first dimension is called as the access control dimension. Second is called as the authentication dimension. Third one is the non-repudiation. Then another one is the data confidentiality. Then communication security. Then data integrity, then availability, and the last one is the privacy. So one by one we are going to see that why these dimensions are very important in case of the cryptography techniques. Okay, that if you want to understand the cryptography techniques properly, then we have to understand all these 8 security dimensions, then only we can make a good cryptography technique, whether it could be either symmetric or it could be either asymmetric. So understanding these 8 dimensions, that is security dimensions, which has to be applied to each security perspective, that is the layer and plane, which we are going to discuss further in the next slide. So let us understand that what is access control. The meaning of access control is that we can either limit and control the access to the network elements or the services or the applications. For example, we can limit and control the access with the help of passwords, or we can do it with the help of firewalls. So password and firewall, or you can say the access control list, becomes very important whenever you want to make any kind of cryptographic technique. If you are designing your own cryptography technique, then this becomes very important. If time permits, I will discuss some research tools also by which you can further make your research possible, or if you are interested to do more research, then you can go ahead with such kind of tools. And after taking all these dimensions into your technique, okay, whichever technique you are designing, so after considering all these 8 dimensions, you can make a good technique, okay, which could be beneficial for your actual defense purpose. Okay, suppose you are making any particular tool, okay, so that will be beneficial. So the next one which is there is called as the authentication. So authentication means that how you are going to see the authenticity, or how you are going to check the authenticity of a particular person, or you can say here it is an entity, for example, in your system, whether it is a sender, receiver, or intruder. So you are going to check the identity of a particular person, and that process is called as the authentication. So as you see that we normally use the digital signature or we use the digital certificate. Okay, so these are the possible examples, or some kind of the shared secret, or PKI, that is the um, some kind of key information. Okay, so all these are the possible way by which where we can provide the proof of identity. Okay, and that process is called as authentication process. Then the third one is the non-repudiation process. So this particular process, it controls or it prevents the ability to deny that an activity on the network has occurred. So for example, whenever we try to generate the system logs for our system, okay, then that process is the process of controlling. Okay, so we can monitor the system logs, and with the monitoring process, we can identify that where something wrong has happened. So this is the process of non-repudiation. Then the next one is the data confidentiality process. In this, we ensure the confidentiality of the data. For example, if we use any kind of hashing algorithm for the purpose of encryption, say SHA, all these algorithms which are available, okay, for the purpose of encryption, then this is called as the process of data confidentiality. The next process, which is called as the communication security, is the phase in which we ensure the information which flow only from source to destination. Okay, so for example, let us talk about the virtual private networks. We can see that the communication security is taken care of. The next one, that is data integrity. It ensures that the data it is that the data integrity is not lost from sender to receiver. That means the data is not tampered. So here we have to see that what kind of tools which we are using. For example, here also we can use some kind of antivirus softwares, or we can use the mechanism of digital signatures. There are some algorithms, MD5 algorithms, which ensures the data is received as it is sent, or it is retrieved as it is sent. The next process is availability process. So availability process means that it ensures the network elements or the services and the applications which is available to the legitimate users. So the examples could be the network redundancy examples, okay, IDS, IPS examples. So these are the examples which ensures the availability. And the last one I'm talking about, the privacy. The privacy means that it ensures the identification and the network use. Okay, so these 8 dimensions are very important. Now we discuss the security planes or the security layers. So there are three different type of security layers. The first layer is called as the infrastructure security layer. So this particular layer is handling the fundamental building blocks of the network or the services and applications. Now the examples which are handling all these services is the routers, switches, servers, okay, or some kind of point-to-point wide area network links, that is, and some kind of Ethernet links, which is working at the infrastructure security layer, are responsible for managing this particular plane, which is the infrastructure security layer, or it is the infrastructure security plane. The next layer is called as the services security layer. This particular layer is basically for providing services to the end users. So here we use the different things, say frame relays or ATM or cellular or Wi-Fi connections or voice or IP things, or some kind of toll-free call services also. Okay, so these are the various things which are operating, or they are functional at the services security layer. The third one is called as the application security layer. So the application security layer is the layer which is responsible for running the applications. For example, the network-based applications accessed by the end users. That could be the web browsing facilities, the directory assistance, the email services, or any kind of e-commerce transactions. For example, if you are doing some kind of web surfing, say on Amazon or Flipkart, then this is called as a e-commerce. So all the services, that is the web browsing services, email services, e-commerce services, these are running at the third layer, which is called as the application security layer. So we can say that the attacks, the threats, and the vulnerability both are happening at the three layers, that is the infrastructure secure, service security, and the application security. Okay. So considering all these things, we have to see that the security layers, that is the security layers to the IP networks. Okay. The first one, that is the infrastructure security layer. Okay, this controls the individual routers, servers, the communication links. All these things are controlled at the infrastructure security layer. At the services security layer, we have the basic IP transport, and we have the IP support services. For example, the domain name service, dynamic host control protocol, and the AAA. AAA stands here authenticity, okay, authorization, okay, and authentication. So value added services are the services such as the virtual private network, quality of services, then voice over IP. So these are the value added services. And the application security layers. At the application security layer, we have the email services, we have the e-commerce services, we have the browsing services. Okay, so all these services are happening at the application security layer. Now, this already we have discussed, that is three security layers. Now we discuss the three security planes. So there are the three security planes. First plane is called as the end user security plane. The second plane is called as the control signaling security plane. And third one is called as a management security plane. So the first plane, that is the end user security plane, it is for the access and use of the network, the customers for the various purposes. For example, the basic connectivity, the transport, the value-added services. Okay. So all these things are for the end user security plane. The second one, which is the control signaling security plane, it handles the activities that enable efficient functioning of the network and machine-to-machine communications. The third one, it is called the management security plane. This handles the management and provisioning of the network elements or services and applications. So we can see that these three security planes are very, very important. So security planes represent the type of activities which occur on a particular network, and each security plane is applied to every security layer. So there could be the security perspectives, and that is the 9 security perspectives are there, that is 3 by 3. For example, these three security planes are operating at the different security perspective. That could be the management security plane, the control signal security plane, and the end user security plane. So 3 by 3, that is the 9 security perspectives are there, and each security perspective has unique vulnerabilities and the threats. So now we are going to discuss those 9 security perspectives. So here comes the end user security plane. Okay, it is responsible for the end user data transfer and end user application interactions. Then the protocols which are used here are the TCP/IP protocol, the user datagram protocol, the file transfer protocol, the HTTP protocol, which is used for end user data transfer, the POP protocol, the IMAP protocol. Okay, so these are the protocols which are used for end user data transfer and end user application interactions. Then the control signaling and security plane activities. In this, the activities which are happening is the update of routing and switching tables and the service initiations, controls and tear down and the application control. So the protocols that we use for the update of routing and switching tables are the protocols which are shown, that is BGP, then OSPF, okay, REAP, PEEP, all these are the protocols used here, okay, and the DHCP protocol, SMTP protocol, okay, DNS protocol, these are the protocols which are used for the application control. So I'm going to take a fast session here because we have to cover some important things. So the management security plane, in these the various activities which are covered is the operations, administration, management, and provisioning. For the operations purpose, we are using the SNMP protocol. For administration, we are using the Telnet protocol. For management, we use the FTP protocol, and we use the HTTP protocol for the provisioning purpose. When we talk about the security goals, this particular word I have used at the beginning, that is the word called as a CAMN. So CAMN, here we can say that C stands for confidentiality, A stands for authentication, M stands for message integrity, and A stands for the access control, and the N stands for the non-repudiation. So these things earlier when I discussed, I told you that I will discuss them later on. So now is the perfect time that we are discussing these security goals, because if we are making any kind of cryptography technique, then we have to think care of all the security goals. So the first goal, that is the confidentiality security goal, it ensures that the content of the message is not visible to any person and the authorized receivers. So it can take care of the confidentiality. Our first goal should be confidentiality. If we can ensure confidentiality goal, then we can say that the 20% part is over. And then we say that authentication. So authentication means that if we ensure the integrity of the user identities through the identification of the legitimate and illegitimate persons, then we can say that authentication is achieved. So 40% of security goal we have achieved. And then for the message integrity is not altered unintentionally in route compared with the original sent message. In that case, we can say that the integrity is maintained for the particular message. That means whatever message we are sending from the sender side, the same message is received at the receiver side also. So by this way, we can say that the message integrity is also maintained. Then we talk about the access control. So the meaning of access control is that the control of access to the network or system resources is only for the authenticated users. That means no other intruder or any unauthorized users is having access to our system who has specific authorization. And the last one, that is called as a non-repudiation. This guarantees that the sender is a legitimate sender of the received message and the sender cannot later dispute the sending message. That means this is called as a non-repudiation. For example, you remember that for the non-repudiation purpose, we have to maintain the log. So with the help of log, we can ensure that the sender is the legitimate sender as well as the receiver is the legitimate receiver, so that the later on the sender cannot have any dispute. Okay. For example, this is very much important when you send the email messages. Okay. So if you are sending if the sender is legitimate and the receiver is also legitimate, so whatever content which is shared from the sender to receiver, okay, that is recorded, okay, in the form of log. So later on, if suppose there is some irrelevant content in the message. In that case, whatever obligations or whatever kind of complaints the receiver is having is only with the legitimate sender. So that means the sender takes the entire responsibility of the message. So these are the security goals, and if we can achieve confidentiality, we can achieve authenticity, we can achieve integrity, we can achieve the access control, we can achieve the non-repetition. All these parameters say that 100% achieve our security goals. This is security. When we talk about environment plus cryptography, then it becomes the network security. So in a computer network, we have a different kind of networks. The network which are there is the LAN, which we are normally using in our campuses. That's the LAN, local area network. Then we have the hybrid area network. We have the campus area network. We have the metropolitan area network. We have the wide area network. So these are the various networks which are existing around us, and we have the different media which are available. For example, we have the wireless media with the wired media also. Okay, so it's a typical architecture of a computer network, so I'm not going to explain it more, as you all know. And this is the TCP IP model, because these things we have to take care of whenever we are designing any cryptographic technique. That is the reason I'm taking a slight revision on this. So at the physical level, the protocols which are defined, and the data link layer at which the protocols are defined. At the network layer, we have the different protocols, that is ICMP, because these are the protocols I've discussed with you earlier in the earlier slides. So that is the reason I want to show you that how these protocols are working at the different layer, that is which protocols are working at the transport layer, which protocols are working at the application layer. So the session, presentation, and application layer, these are the three layers which commonly share the protocols, that is SMTP, FTP, HTTP, DNS, SNMP, and Telnet. At the transport layer, we have the three protocols which are operating, called as the SCTP, TCP, and User Datagram Protocol, UDP protocol. Okay, so all these protocols, these are the important protocols. Security architecture we have to understand. In order to understand the security architecture, we have to see that the protocols which are opening at the security architecture level and the network security level. Okay, so these are the protocols, that is the protocols which are responsible for the authorization, for message integrity, okay, for authentication, for non-repetition, okay, so that we can achieve the security goal. Whenever we want to deploy the security, in that case, we have to follow the three-step process. The first process is called as the prevention. At the prevention step, we have the threats, we have the vulnerabilities also, we have the attacks also. But after that, that is a prevention process. Once the threat has been detected or the vulnerability has been detected or some kind of attack is detected, so then we have to do some kind of development and analysis by using some cryptography techniques. So with those cryptographic techniques, we can find out that what is the confidentiality, what is the integrity, what is the authentication, okay, for the messages which we are sending from the sender to receiver. So this totally and together they can achieve the goals, the common goals for the network security. Okay. This already I have explained that the network when combined together with the CAMN, that is the confidentiality, authorization, okay, then message control, okay, then the authenticity, authorization, okay, all these things when combined together, then they can form a network security. So what is a cryptography? Now we are going to take our actual discussion here. What is a cryptography? So cryptography is that when we encrypt a particular data from one form to other form, then it becomes the cryptography. So this is the entire history of the cryptography. So cryptography started at a very basic level where we have some simple alphabets, okay, and then it was translated to the different alphabets. Okay, so this is how the cryptography history is there. Okay, so this is also some examples, okay, which demonstrate themselves that how the cryptography has been taking place. Okay, then this is the history about the cryptography, that it was actually started in the 19th century. Okay, and at that time, the Julius Caesars and cipher shifted the alphabet to the encoded million tree messages. Okay, so this was the situation where some ciphertext were applied. This is how the encryption actually started, and this was the history. Okay, the father of Western cryptography invented the first polyable alphabet cipher in 1466 AD. Okay, so the father of Western cryptography invented the first cipher in 1466 AD. Okay, so this is how the cryptography is functional. That is the source text and the destination text. The source text is called as a plain text, and the destination text is called as a encrypted text, and which is also called as a ciphertext. So when we apply some kind of key on the plain text, okay, then we can convert that particular plain text to the ciphertext, and at the same time, at the receiver end, we can apply the private key of the receiver, so we can again decrypt that particular ciphertext to the plain text. This process is called the encryption and decryption. This is a cryptographic technique. So this is where we have to do our exact discussion. So cryptographic techniques basically are of two types. One is a symmetric cryptographic technique, and other one is a asymmetric cryptographic technique. So these two cryptographic techniques, okay, are broadly classified. Okay. So the first one which we talk about is the classical, and then the block cipher, okay, technique. Then asymmetric one is the public-private key-based technique. The classical one, okay, is further divided into the Playfair cipher. Then uh, the other technique which are there is the Hill cipher, one-time pad, okay. Then the rail fence, the pure transportation, okay. All these techniques are broadly classified. So here we understand that the techniques, okay, which are the symmetric block cipher based symmetric cryptographic techniques, are using the three type of algorithms, that is the DES algorithm, AES algorithm, and the 3DES algorithm. The next one is the way by which we can transform our alphabets from one to other. For example, here you can see that the pure English alphabets which are there from A to Z, A, B, C, D up to Z, and then we have applied a simple cipher text, okay, and the ciphertext which has been obtained after the encryption is DEFGHI. So what happened that we have applied a particular algorithm where we have obtained the new form of a message, okay, that is ABCD has converted to DEFG. So mathematically, we can say that the numbers which are there from 0, A, B, C, D, E, F has been assigned the number say 0, 1, 2, 3 like that way. And in that case, we can have the particular function, that is C is equal to encryption of the plain text is equal to P plus K, that is the public, that is the key which we are operating, and mod 26, that is the plain text which is there. And then we, if we want to decrypt that particular message, then we can subtract that particular key. Here the value of key, as you can see, that is 3. So C minus K, that is ciphertext minus K, mod 26 can automatically give us the plain text. This is the Playfair key matrix. Okay. So here also you see that a 5 by 5 matrix of letter based on a keyword. Okay. And when we try to convert the word that is a monarchy word, okay, so how with the help of 5 by 5 matrix we can convert this particular plain word into the cipher text. Encrypting and decrypting we are going to discuss here. So the plain text encrypted uh, with the two letters at a time. Okay, so if a pair is repeated letter, then insert a filler like X. And for example, if you want to encrypt a word called as balloon, okay, so here we encrypt the word and the balloon word after encryption looks like this. So BALXLOON, okay, because we have what we have done, we have done a filler that is capital X, okay. So X is replaced as X is replaced wherever there is a double occurrence of a particular alphabet. Okay. So L when it was occurring twice, so we have put X over there. So that means any repeated letter, for example, in balloon we have two repeated letters that is L. Okay, then after again there is a repeated letter called as OO, but when the first letter which is there that is L, it is treated as the repeated letter. So that is the reason we have put LX and then after that there is LO. So if both letters fall in the same row and replace each with each letter to its right. For example, we can wrap the back to start from the end. Okay. And if both letters fall in the same column, then we can replace each letter below mentioned with it. So here we can replace it with the help of the word called as CM. Otherwise, each letter is replaced by the one in its row, the column of other letter. So this is the Playfair cipher in the Playfair algorithm, which is based on the 5 by 5 matrix of the letters. So here the word that is monarch. Monarch, the keyword is the monarchy. Okay, MONY. Okay. So this is the way we generate a 5 by 5 matrix of this particular letters. To visualize the result of this double transposition, it designates the letters in the original plain text message by the numbers designated their position. Thus, with the 28 letters in the message, the original message letter is like look like this. That is, if the input is the way it is shown, okay, at the different key position, then the output is shown like this, which is there in the form of a ciphertext. But when you pass the input in the form of numbers, that is, the numbers are 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, okay, like this. So how your first transposition looks like is 03, 10, 17, 24, 04, 11, 18, 25, 02, 09, 16, 23, 01, 08, 15, 22, 05. You understand all this, the way the transposition has been done. Okay, 12, then 19, 19, then 26, then 06, 13. Okay, so this is the first transposition. This is the first transposition which has happened. Okay, which is the number 03. This is the 03 number 10, 17, 24. This is the first one 03 times 17, 24. After that, the next transposition is 04, 11, 18, and 25. This is the second. Okay, this is the second one, that is 01, 11, 18, 25, like this. After that, you see the 0 to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. This is 3. So what will happen? The numbers which are there, that is the input which is there at the number 3 is going to happen here, that is 02, 09, 16, 23. And then at 4, 4 is 01, 08, 15, 22. Okay, all these things which are there 01, 08, 15, 22. After that 5, 5 is 0, 5, 12, 19, 26. So this is 0, 5, 12, 19, and 26. And after that, this is the sixth one. It is 0, 6. Okay. Then 13, 20, 27. Like that. Then 0, 7. Then 14, 21, and 28. So here we see that this is the number. This is the key in which numbers are used. And when if we use the alphabets, for example, see here 6, 7. In this case, one is NSCY. So this is NSCY. Then AUOP. Okay. This is AUOP. This is the AUOP. Okay. After that, the third one, that is TLWL. Right. So this is how this is happening. Next one, we are talking about the encryption algorithm. Okay. So in this first encryption algorithm, which I am going to discuss with you, there is an initial permutation, and after that we perform some kind of complex function with the help of function key, and then we do the simple permutation, and then we again find the function key. So first one is the encryption of the text, and the 8-bit plain text is fast, okay, and with the 8-bit encryption plain text, we are trying to encrypt it, and it will give us the 8-bit ciphertext, okay, and then after we apply a 10-bit key encryption algorithm, okay, and then we again generate the plain text, okay, with the help of a decryption process, that is the 8-bit ciphertext. So this is the process of the encryption. This is the process of encryption. From the plain text, we get the 8-bit ciphertext, and again we get the plain text with the help of decryption from the decryption process from the ciphertext to the plain text. This is the function which is applied. So we apply this entire function on the ciphertext and then the plain text. So this is the entirely it is the reverse process in order to generate the ciphertext, okay, from the plain text, and then again to generate the plain text from the ciphertext. This is the key generation process from the left to right. You can see that we give a number to each input, and then we find out the output according to the permutation of the tables of the respective bit. So there is an input key, and then we obtain the output key after the permutation operation. So we apply the algorithm here, which is a 10-bit key algorithm. This is the key generation which is happening. That is, we perform the left circular on the first 5 left half bits and the second 5 bits. So we have the different bits here, that is 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. And after performing the operation, we get 0, 1. This is the text this is the bit we obtain, okay, that is 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, okay, and when we apply the operation on the bits, then it is shifted. So this is how this particular process happens for applying this particular algorithm. Second algorithm is called as the DES algorithm. This algorithm, it can be applied on the plain text, okay. So here you can see that this is the numbers, that is 26314,857, and when we apply the process, then it is shifted one bit. It is shifted one bit. Okay, so the numbers which is obtained after shifting is 41357,286, and in the second step again we generate the other numbers, that is 412,32341. This is the simplified DES, okay, how it works, that when we apply this particular operation on the plain text, that is 10111101, okay, then we have to apply our function key here. So we obtain the number as 1110. Okay, this is the simplified DS he has explained in the form of a matrix. So we have the function key here, and we have the S boxes, which is called as a decoder and the encoder. That is the substitution box. is a simplified DES. This is a general depiction of the DES encryption algorithm. We have the 64-bit plain text, okay, and in the initial permutation we go for a round one, and in that case we generate the key one that is called as the first key, that is the permutative choice, and then we apply the left circular shift key operation. Then again we generate a round two. In that case we generate the key two. Okay. In this case, this can happen in a 64-bit way, and the different ciphertext has been obtained. That is, a 64-bit ciphertext has been obtained here. So the different rounds happen. That is round one, round two, round three, round 16. Up to round 16, it can happen because 16 total rounds which are going to happen, in that where we are going to obtain a 64-bit operation. Again, we are talking about the techniques which are ADES, AES, and 3DS. Okay, so this is the magic where the algorithm is happening and it is performing the powers of integer modulo n. So if a and n are the relatively prime numbers, okay, then with the help of the power of number, that is a square, okay, then like that way we can obtain the different power of integer a. So the number of this order is referred to as a primitive root of n, and it has given the power, that is a square, a cube, a raised to 4, like that way. These are the distinct mod n, that is the prime numbers which are related to n. In particular, the prime number p, if it is a primitive root of p, then a square, okay, are the distinct modes. These are the primitive roots of 19. It shows all the powers of a modulo 19 for all positive a less than 19. The length of the sequence for each base value is indicated by a shading. For example, you can see here that a square, a cube, a4, a5. Okay, these are the different powers of the number a, and we see here the numbers which are shown here 1, 2, 3, 4, like that way. So when it is shown as a square, so we can see that these are the numbers, that is 4, 9, 16, 6, 17. Because when we make the power here, that is power of a1 is 1. Okay, this entire row is going to give you the number as 1. So this is the same number which you obtained after generating the power, whether it is a raised to 14 or 15. But when it is a square, then we obtain 4. We obtain here 8, 16, then 13, like that, 7. Okay, but in case of the number 3, that is, we say here a square is 19, then 4 square is 16. But when we say that a square, that is 5 square is 25. So 5 square is 25. So 25 modulo 19 is going to give you the value as 6. So the value obtained here is 6. And when we say the other numbers, that is 6, 6 power is 36. So 36 modulo 19 is the value 17. Okay, like that way. But when we say 7 square is 49, but we obtain the remainder as the number as 11. So this is the primitive root of 19. This is the primitive root of 19. So it shows all the powers of a modulo 19 for all positive. Okay, the length of sequence for each base value is indicated by shading. This is the multiplicative inverse, and this is how we find the multiplicative inverse of 550. So this is again a mathematical way in which we can find out the multiplicative inverse. This is the next algorithm, that is the RSA algorithm. So the RSA algorithm also, it works in the way that is, first is the key generation mechanism. The next one is the encryption and decryption. So first we have to generate the key. So the algorithm which is used for the key generation is shown here. That is, we select the two numbers, that is P and Q, and both the numbers should be prime but should not be equal. Then we calculate n is equal to p into q. Okay. Then we select an integer, then we calculate the t, and then our public key is the comma n, that is the encryption text. Okay, then the value n and the private key, like that. So the cryptography security technique which is there is basically to provide the interdisciplinary expertise in the wireless sensor networks and in the internet of things, cloud computing, and cyber security. So here you see that we have the different uh, techniques which are operating at the different layers. So this is the DNA structure. Okay. And here we see that the different DNA structures which are there, okay, can be modified with the help of this. The devices which are operating here, that is the mobile devices, the servers, clouds, okay, operating systems, like this. So with this, I am going to take a small break, okay, and later part of this particular slide, which is the research part, which you can do on the cryptographic techniques, I am going to continue after a break of 5 minutes. So I just request the participant that you please provide me a break for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, sir. 5 minutes.
Dear participants, sir is on break now for 5 minutes. Okay. Please don't go away.
Yeah, once again, I'm back here and I'm going to share the later part of this cryptographic techniques which I have discussed with you. So I'm sharing you one other PPT with you, that is to understand that is what is exactly encryption and decryption, because in the earlier part I have told you about the algorithms. So the basics I'm going to take a revision once again. The encryption is basically the conversion of the plain text to the ciphertext, and decryption is ciphertext to plain text. So those who have not clear their concepts, okay, so they can again get it clear the concepts. For example, hello John is a plain text, and when it is encrypted, so you see the ciphertext which looks here is IFMMP. Okay, so this is ciphertext. So that means some kind of key has been applied here in the encryption process, and we generate the ciphertext. Again, when we obtain the same ciphertext, so the decryption process again applies the key here, which is at the receiver end, and we obtain the plain text. So there are the different aspects. Okay, in a simple manner, I am explaining you that there are the different aspects of encryption and decryption. So the two different aspects of any encryption and decryption algorithm is basically the algorithm and key. So these are the important aspect of the encryption and decryption process. That means you know that which algorithm you are applying and how you are generating the key. For example, earlier I have told you that whether you apply the AES algorithm, advanced encryption standard algorithm, okay, or the DES algorithm or any other encryption algorithm which you are applying. So that is the first aspect. That is the first aspect of the encryption and decryption process, and the key which you are generating is the second aspect. So both the aspects are important for the encryption and decryption process. So this already I just told you now, okay, that is the cryptographic techniques. One is a symmetric key cryptographic technique, and other one is a asymmetric key cryptographic technique. So this classification is only based on the two different aspects which we saw just now. That is whether that particular cryptographic technique is based on a symmetric algorithm. Okay, then we can say it is a symmetric cryptography. Okay, symmetric key cryptographic technique, and otherwise if it is based on the asymmetric method, asymmetric algorithm, then we can call it as a asymmetric key cryptography technique. And these are the various challenges in the symmetric cryptography technique. One is that is the key exchange problem. So there could be a key exchange problem between the sender and receiver. So because of that, there could be a problem in the symmetric key cryptography, and the number of keys which are required for the n communicating parties. So suppose if the number of people who are communicating are large in numbers, so in that case, the number that is n minus 1 divided by 2 will be very large, very big. In this case, there could be a possible challenge. That means the problem can occur. So Diffie-Hellman key exchange is the technique which can solve the problem, okay, and it can solve the problem of key exchange. Okay, so the same example which I will discuss with you, that is the Alice and Bob example. So they can, the both person, that is the sender and receiver, can decide upon a key without meeting. So this is the way how the key exchange problem can be solved. And when no secrets are exchanged, and the secret key is there which has to be agreed upon. So this is that is something which is called as a mechanism in which both the sender and receiver has to agree on a particular key. Then only this particular technique is beneficial. So when we talk about this particular technique, so firstly we say that Alice and Bob, okay, are the two parties, the two persons. They are the sender and receiver, and they agree on the large prime numbers, okay, say n and g, and these two integers need to be kept secret, okay. But then the problem here is that the two persons, that is Alice and Bob, that is the sender and receiver, can use an insecure channel to agree on them. For this, they have to apply a particular function, and that is called the mod function. So for applying that particular function, Alice choose another large number, okay, say x, and calculates a value a, and the value a is g to the power x mod n, and then Alice sends the number a to Bob, okay. So by this way, the Bob gets the number A, and then Bob has to apply the reverse process in order to generate the number B. And Bob independently choose another large number, that is a random integer y, and it calculates B such that B is g to the power y mod n. So Bob sends a number B to Alice. So in this case, we can say that there are two secret keys generated and they are exchanged. So the first key secret generated, the first key secret generated is K1. The K1 is equal to B to the power x mod n, and the second one is the key which is generated called as K2, and this is the key which has been generated by Bob. So Bob computes the secret key as K2. So K2 is e to the power y mod n. So by these two keys are generated, that is K1 and K2. So K1 key is generated, it is computed by Alice, and the K2 key is generated by the Bob, that is the receiver. So now how we are going to illustrate the algorithm, Diffie-Hellman algorithm. This you have to understand. Okay. So the first one is Alice. Okay. This is the sender and Bob is the receiver. Okay. So Alice generates a key that is called as key1, and Bob generates the key which is called as k2. Okay. So A is equal to j power x mod n. This is the mechanism how A is, that is A is the key which is generated. Alice generates the key with the number A. Okay, so K1 is the key. Okay, and here Bob also applies the same process. Alice and Bob agree on two large prime numbers n and g. Okay, so by this way, Alice exchanges the key and Bob also exchanged the key. So as it turns out, K1 is equal to K2 is equal to K. That means both the keys, when they are equal, the K thus becomes the shared symmetric key between Alice and Bob. That means both are having the same key. So this is called as the shared symmetric key concept between Alice and Bob. Okay, so let us take an example that there are two numbers. Okay, n and g. N is 11, g is 7. Okay, x is 3 and y is 6. So how do we determine k1 and k2? Okay, so this is the way answer. So you can compute it at your end. That is how we have obtained these particular values. That is a is equal to 2 and b is equal to 4 and k1 is equal to k2 is equal to 9. By this function we can apply. For example, we are having the value n as 11 and g as 7 and x as 3 and y as 6. So what we can do, we can compute with the help of this particular function. A is equal to g to the power x mod n, and here b we can also calculate g to the power y mod n. So in both the values we are going to get the values for a, for the values for the value for the b, and then k1 and k2, both the values which we are going to get is going to be equal values. So another problem, okay. So we can write a program. So this is the practical session which we can conduct in our laboratories in order to generate the uh, keys. Okay, so we can ask our student that write a program to determine K1 and K2 when N and G are 10 digit prime numbers each, and X and Y contains the 10 digits each. So this is a practical program where we can ask uh, the students can generate their own uh, keys, that is key 1 and key 2, based on a random number where when n and g are the 10 digit prime numbers and x and y contains the 10 digits each. The next problem which you can discuss, okay, in your group, or when you want to make some kind of a research paper, then also you can find out a problem solving method where we can demonstrate the Hellman key exchange protocol. Okay, man the middle attack means what? That if the integrity of the message is lost, so that is called as a man in the middle attack. So the example which we are discussing between Alice and Bob was the man in middle attack, because Alice wants to send some message to Bob, but in that case, what would happen that some kind of integrity of the message is lost because there is some intruder who is trying to attack the message. Okay, so either that particular intruder can add some different part into the message, or the content of that particular message could be altered, or it could be deleted. So such kind of attacks which are there are called as the man in the middle attack. So this is the example, okay, where we can take the different numbers, say n is equal to 11, g is equal to 7, x is equal to 3, y is equal to 9. Then we obtain x the value as y, and y the value x is the value obtained is 8, and y is the value obtained as 6. So in both the cases, okay, we obtain this number k1 is equal to 9 and k2 is equal to 5 with the function that we applied earlier. Okay, so k1 when exchanged, okay, that is the sender and the receiver exchange the value. So when we denote this as a k1 dash, that is 5, and k2 dash, this is called as a 9. Okay, so by this way we can see that how the two values, that is k1 and k2, is generated in the symmetric cryptographic method. Now, when we discuss the asymmetric key encryption method, so the important point which is there is we should know that how the sender encrypts the message with the recipient's public key, and how the recipient decrypts it with the private key. Okay, because both are having the different keys. So this is the encryption and decryption is happening in the asymmetric cryptographic techniques method. This is the matrix of key. Here the key details, okay, A should know and B should know. So when there is A's private key, A knows it. Okay, so A should know yes, B should know no, because it is the A's private key. But when it is A's public key, then A should know yes and B should know yes. That is, in both the matrix value, that is both the value are yes, because it is the public key. But when it is the B's private key, then A should know no, A should not know this particular private key of B, because it is the private key of D. So in the matrix of keys we mentioned, here it is no, here it is yes. And when it is the B's public key, then both should know, that is B should also know, that is B is mentioned as yes and A is also mentioned as yes. So both the values are mentioned as yes. So this is the matrix which is this is the matrix of keys which is generated for both A and B in case of the asymmetric key cryptographic generation method. Key cryptography generation method. So this is the asymmetric key cryptography. Okay, there is a sender, there is a receiver. Okay, so the sender sends the plain text to B. Okay, then it is encrypted with the B's public key. So this process is called as the encryption of the plain text with the B's public key. So this is encrypted. So we obtained a ciphertext here, and then it goes to the network, and then again the ciphertext which is received at the B's end is again decrypted with the B's private key. So again we obtained the plain text. So the receiver understand that what is the message sent from the sender A to the receiver. So this is the asymmetric key cryptography. So this is how it is working. Next algorithm which we are going to discuss here is the RSA algorithm. So RSA algorithm is the most popular algorithm. It is the most popular asymmetric key encryption algorithm which was published in the year 1977, and this particular algorithm was based on the theory of prime numbers. So it was based on the fact that it is easy to find and multiply large prime numbers, but it was extremely difficult to factor their product. Okay. So this was the main drawback of the RSA algorithm. Okay. So this is how the RSA algorithm works. Okay. So the name RSA was given because of the three persons, that is Rives, Amir and Adelman, because together they discovered this particular algorithm, RSA algorithm. So how this algorithm works is shown to you. That is, we choose the two large prime numbers, that is P and Q. And remember, whenever we choose these two large prime numbers, then both should not be equal. That is, P should not be equal to Q. After we choose the two large prime numbers, that is P and Q, we have to calculate the value N. So N is the multiplication of P and Q. So after we generate the value N, that is in the step 2, we have to generate the value N is equal to P and Q. Then we have to select the public key. Public key is basically, it is the encryption key, such that it is not a factor. It is not the factor of any prime number. So P minus 1, okay, multiply by Q minus 1, okay. So by this way, we have to find out the greatest common divisor, okay. And the fourth step is to select the private key, that is the decryption key, okay, which has to be used by the receiver. So in the way that it has been find out that we have to generate the public key as well as the private key. So for the encryption, we calculate the ciphertext from the plain text. Okay, so we generate the ciphertext with the help of CT, and we generate the private text as PT. So then we send the ciphertext as a ciphertext to the receiver, and for the decryption purpose, we calculate the plain text from the ciphertext. So the 7-step process is explained here. So now we take this particular problem, that how we can solve this particular problem, that is the problem of asymmetric key generation. As I told you that we have to take two different numbers, P and Q, both should be two different number. So P is equal to 7, Q is equal to 7. We have taken the two different number, and here we have to determine the value of E and D. Okay, so you can take this particular example. You can ask the students to write this particular program with the help of RSA algorithm. And when we take this particular second example, that is problem 2, that write a program to determine the encryption and decryption, that is END for P and Q, where 50 digit prime number you can take. Okay, so this could be another example where you can ask the students to develop it. So this is another important algorithm, which is the cryptography technique algorithm, and here it is explained to you. That is, we generate the three numbers, that is A1, A2 and E3, and B1, B2 and B3. So such that these particular numbers should form a set, and then this particular algorithm we can call where B3, when it is 0, then we can generate A3 with the help of a greatest common divisor, and again we can generate the B3. Okay, so these are the various steps we have to follow. Okay, so examples of the RSA algorithm we have to discuss here. The first uh, example of RSA algorithm, here we can say that encryption algorithm using the public key and decryption algorithm based on the private key. So in the first one, that is encryption algorithm, which is based on the public key, where we encode the original character, A is equal to 1 and B is equal to 2, and then we raise the number to the power of E. Okay, so we can say that here the number obtained is the number 5. Okay, and then we divide the result by 119 and get the remainder. So the resulting number is the ciphertext. So this particular thing, okay, that is encryption algorithm using the public key. It is the based on the algorithm and the formula which I have explained you at the earlier slide, and the decryption algorithm using the private key, okay, where we raise the number to the power d, and uh, the number here is 77. So when we divide the result by 119 and we get the remainder, so the resulting number is the ciphertext. So again, we say that we can decode the original character using 1. That is, we obtained the value 1 and we obtained the value 2. That is the result of the modulo 119. Okay. So here A is sending the information to B. Okay. So we obtain a key here. Okay, which is 41. Okay. And again we obtain a result modulo 119, key is 6. So this is the method by which the algorithm, that is RSA algorithm, okay, is working here. So next we discuss the comparison, which is the final part of this slide. Okay, that is how symmetric cryptography techniques are different than the asymmetric cryptography technique. That is, what is the main difference between the two techniques, that is symmetric and asymmetric cryptographic technique. So the two main difference between the symmetric and asymmetric cryptographic technique we are going to discuss on the basis of the different characteristics. So the first characteristics which is there for the um, symmetric and asymmetric cryptography technique is the characteristics. That is characteristics based on the key used for encryption and decryption. So what kind of key we use in the symmetric key cryptographic technique, and what technique we use, what technique we use for key generation in the um, asymmetric key cryptographic technique is important here. Okay, so the first one, that is in the symmetric key cryptography, we use the same key for the purpose of encryption and decryption. We use the same key for the purpose of encryption and decryption. But in case of the uh, in case of the asymmetric key cryptography, we use the one key for the encryption purpose and different key is used for the decryption purpose. And when we talk about the speed of encryption and decryption, so we can say that the speed of encryption and decryption is very, very fast in case of the symmetric symmetric key in cryptography, and when we talk about asymmetric, then it is very slow. So this is the main difference between the symmetric and asymmetric. The next one, that is the key agreement exchange, is a big problem, because when we talk about that, when n is a large number, I have explained to you, when n is a large number, that is, when we calculate the value n minus 1 divided by 2, in that case the value of n becomes very very large, and because of that, the problem of key agreement or the problem of key exchange becomes a very big problem in case of a symmetric key cryptography method. But in case the asymmetric key cryptography, there is no problem at all. Why? Because both A and B, that is the sender and receiver, they generate their own keys based on, say, some prime number, and based on the algorithm, and then they exchange it. So there is no problem of key agreement or key exchange in case of a asymmetric key cryptography technique. Then the number of keys which are required as compared to the number of participants in the message exchange. In case of, this is the fourth characteristics where we are discussing both the symmetric key cryptography and the asymmetric key cryptography. So when the number of keys required as compared to the number of participants in the message, then the number is equal to the square of the number of participants. So scalability becomes one of the major challenge. It becomes one of the major issue in terms of the symmetric key cryptography. That means it becomes a very very large number. For example, if you take n as a very large number, uh, as the case may be, that there are many number of nodes in the network. In that case, n becomes a large number, and in that case, the problem that happens is that you can find out scalability as one of the important, and becomes major issue in order to solve. So you have to be very careful in case of choosing a symmetric key cryptography technique when scalability is a issue. So in case of large networks where the number of nodes, the number of participants are high, in that case, don't suggest a symmetric key cryptography technique, because scalability is going to become a major issue. And in those situations, in those scenario, you can check. You can select the asymmetric key cryptography technique, because the number of participants, okay, they scales up quite well. So because key exchange is not a problem, so this can be a solution to problem whenever you select a large this one. So now we take the usage part. So usage part, in the usage part we can say that mainly for the encryption and for the decryption, that is whenever confidentiality is important. Okay, so we generally prefer the symmetric key cryptography technique, because it is mainly concerned with the encryption and decryption, that is confidentiality, but we cannot be used for the digital signatures. For example, in case of the integrity and in case of the non-repudiation checks, okay, integrity means what? That whether content, the content of the message which has been sent from the sender to receiver has been altered or not. So that becomes the integrity. And the non-repudiation check means what? That means whether the log is successfully generated or not. So that is the major problem, because when the number of users are more, then when scalability becomes a challenge, in that case the log could not be successfully generated, and integrity is also lost, because the meaning of integrity is that the message or is sent as same from the sender to receiver. And the last point for the asymmetric key exchange algorithm. Okay, that is what is the benefit of this, that if we want the encryption and decryption confidentiality as the more important factor, then we can use, but as well as the digital signatures can prove the good integrity of the message, as well as they can keep a check on the non-repudiation. So, in summary, I can say that asymmetric cryptography technique, okay, are much better over the symmetric cryptography technique. So, whenever you want to design a cyber security system for your uh, any given problem, or even any given area, so in that case you should choose the asymmetric cryptography technique, and that is much more beneficial and it is much more better. So mm, I'm going to summarize my today's session which I have taken. So if any doubt or any question if you are having, then you can put in the chat box. Okay, so I can be able to answer the questions. So I have started with the different type of security mechanisms, and I have told you about the security aspects. Then I have explained you about the different mm, techniques, the different layers, okay, the different planes. Then I have told you about the different what you can say different techniques, or the different cryptography techniques on which they are based, that is the symmetric and the asymmetric. Then we have discussed some of the most famous algorithm, for example the AES algorithm, the DES algorithm, the RSA algorithm. Okay, so the various algorithm which we have discussed today. Okay, and then also I have given you some kind of practical problem statements where you can design your own programs, or you can design your own manuals. Okay, we have also discussed the Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm. Okay, so any questions, if any participants, because now 5-10 minutes are left, so if you can put your question on the specific, then I can answer your question. Otherwise, we're going to end the session for for this particular day.
Okay, sir. Dear participants, if you have any doubts, you can ask directly to the sir. Dear participants, if you have any doubts, you can ask directly to the sir. Dear participants, if you have any doubt, you can ask.
If required, you can post your questions, or you can also contact or with your questions. If you are having any research interest, then also you can contact with me. Earlier in the last lecture, we have taken some open source tools. So if you are working on the open source tools, then also you can contact with me. And if you are interested to work on some projects, some open source projects, then also you can contact. We are having some 3-4 project positions open with me in the designing of this security solutions for one of the blockchain project which we are working. So you can, if you are having interest, then you can contact me personally. I have already told in my previous session. So that will be beneficial if you want to work on the practical aspects of these techniques. And I am thankful to the organizers. I am thankful to the management. I am thankful to the department for this short-term training program. And
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Session was
yeah,
very good, very informative, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay.
Okay. Dear participants, if you have any doubts, you can text in the chat box also. Okay, sir. Sir, thank you. Thank you very much, sir.